Our half-hour Stories of Service special this morning had an aviation theme. Now Paul's ready to go from the sky to down below.
Yeah, you're right. The World War II veteran we meet this evening served on a submarine, the USS Batfish, in fact. Born in Arkansas, Joe Cox spent his formative years in Reedley, and after serving in World War II and Korea, settled in Los Banos. After a long career in education, he has spent his retirement years trying to honor those who gave their lives for our country in the submarine service.
But I stay busy because I don't want to, I've seen too many people retire and then they expire, and I don't want to expire too soon.
Joe Cox wasn't worried about expiring when he joined the Navy in January of 1944. He was hoping to get on a PT boat, but after boot camp and radio school, they were looking for submarine volunteers, and he dove in head first.
When I first got in and when I first went to submarine school, I really didn't know anything. All I knew was that they were sinking them pretty fast.
That's not reassuring.
And well, it wasn't reassuring, but you wanted to be where the action. At that time, I wanted to be where the action was.
He would see action first on the submarine tender Orion, then rotating onto the crew of a sub, the USS Batfish.
I was a radioman, and when we were surfaced and then submerged, I was a sonar.
That meant a whole lot of listening and not so much talking.
When you hear things, you got to figure out what they are. Make sure you're not hearing what you don't want to hear.
He would see and hear a torpedo pass within 100 yards of the Batfish's bow, and he also remembers informing the crew about a special message he received from the infamous Tokyo Rose.
She said, "Oh, you Batfish boys, you're a long way from home,
He would make it home, of course, would serve again during the Korean War, and he has the GI Bill to thank for helping him earn his bachelor's, master's, and eventually his doctorate degree. These days, he's busy setting up memorials like this one at Fresno State, with this marker and one tree planted for each submarine lost. He says that's part of the subvet's mission.
To perpetuate the memory of our lost shipmates. And so we lost over 3,600 during World War II, and we lost 52 submarines. And so we just don't want people to forget that, and we don't want to forget that ourselves.
An experience Joe had while still aboard the Orion serves as a sobering reminder of that reality.
One of the boats that came along beside the Orion to pick up a relief crew was the Bonefish. And so I got my orders to report to the Bonefish.
But before he left the Orion, he had some business up in the Radio Shack.
I went up there, and there was a second-class radioman there, and he saw my orders, and he just really kind of hit the ceiling, because he said I'd been there longer than he had. And so he went down to the headquarters of the submarine people, and he got me off of the Bonefish, and he got on. The Bonefish didn't come back. And I still remember that.
So every time you set up one of those memorials, you're thinking, could have been me?
Could have been me.
Perhaps that knowledge has helped make him the humble and unassuming man that he is. He might let you take a quick glance at the medals on his wall, but he'd sooner tell you the real heroes are the ones he takes so much care to memorialize. One thing he is proud of, being part of a generation of Americans who answered the call of duty and asked nothing in return.
We all thought we were really doing a worthwhile thing, and we were just doing the job, for the country, and we really thought we were doing the right thing.
It's amazing how close he came to not being with us today.
And there's so many stories. Almost every veteran has one moment like that in the war where it could have been him. And he talked about the Bonefish, how that he could have been on it. That was June 18th, 1945, when the Bonefish was sunk by the Japanese. All 85 men aboard died, and June 18th, tomorrow, will be the 62nd anniversary. I'm sure Joe will say a little prayer and reflect about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Remember, if you're interested, if you have a veteran that you'd like us to know about, or you'd like to help us save some of these World War II stories, you can go to our website, cbs47.tv, or call that number, 445-0015.
Thanks, Paul.